Hi guys, welcome to my first video, and I really wanted to sort of talk about in this video why I actually left London and decided to move to Bali pretty much in a whim. And I've done this before when I moved to LA for the summer back in 2018, but this time I feel like this is the first time where I stayed away from London for 15 months straight, and it's the first time that I haven't actually traveled. I stayed on the island for about a full year without leaving it, and that was pretty intense. So this entire journey has made me pretty much a new person. I have evolved so many different areas of my life, and I have finally stepped into my power, and I feel like I'm in a place where I'm really embodying my higher self, and I'm ready to speak my truth, guys. This whole Bali journey has taught me a lot, honestly, and if you have a slightest inclination within yourself, it could be any like sort of intuition or any voices or anything, any feelings that you have within yourself to come to Bali, I highly encourage you to do, because this island is highly transformational and it has an extreme healing power. And once you come here, if you allow it, the Mama Bali will bring your life to the next level. I'm not going to lie. But yes, I was really unhappy in London. I'm not going to lie. I was borderline depressed. Actually, I was depressed riddled with anxiety. And what's the saddest thing about the whole thing is that actually I wasn't aware of it. I was in this place of continuous ungratitude for everything in my life, and I was given so much. Honestly, I manifested so many amazing things, including my influencer career, which honestly like took me to so many beautiful places and allowed me to work with so many amazing brands and allowed me to grow as a woman. It allowed me to sort of like really learn that I'm a creative being, because before that I did not know that that was the case. So I'm really happy that I sort of allowed the universe to guide me in the same sense. But I was so unhappy in it, when I started, like the initial reasoning why I started my whole influencer career and my blog was to help people make better decisions. And I was like thinking, if I had one or two people reading my blog, I'll be done. I will be so happy. And I also wanted to use it as my online CV booster to help me get a better job in the online marketing world in London. And little did I know the universe had completely different plans for me. But what happened actually, like maybe 3 years into it, I just stopped growing. I stopped growing across my social media, and I stopped growing as a woman, because I entered this like negative phase of my life where I was waking up unhappy every single day, and I was extremely ungrateful for, like, for example, an amazing brand would send me like a whole bunch of like expensive skincare, and I'll be like complaining about it, or I'll be flown out to Dubai on an all expenses paid trip, and I'll be complaining about it. So like I feel like that is not a way to live your life. I think my whole point of this sort of like video and like my past 15 months sort of like personal development was stepping back into my gratitude and just being grateful for the things that I don't have, and feeling just like blessed to be alive. And so I think that's what really Bali like allowed me to feel every day. And then I wake up in my beautiful house that I live in now, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like how far have I come? Like all these amazing things that I've accomplished within 1 year, just like sort of like by tuning into myself and working on my inner shadows, like bringing up old traumas and releasing a lot. And I wouldn't be able to do that without Bali. So I think sort of like around December 2019, I just had this urge within me, and it was like a very loud voice that I just wasn't able to ignore. It just said, move to Bali. And I'm like, what? I'm not ready for Bali. Like, I just have to work in London. It was like so strong. It was like, move to Bali. There was like no, I just knew I had to do it. Like there was just like, I just couldn't sort of ignore it. And it was just like a strong inclination. It was a strong it's just like this very strong need within me to do so. And then the second voice I had was, oh my god, I'm having so many voices in my head, but it was like, start a clothing brand. And honestly, at that point, I had no idea about starting clothing brands. I had no idea about what it takes. I didn't even know what a pattern was, let alone how to develop a sustainable clothing brand. Like, I literally had no idea. And maybe like 5 months before that, like this, it was like almost like it was a nudge. It was just like, do it. And I had a tarot card reading which said that my grandmother, who passed and it was my best friend, the lady said, you're changing your career and your grandmother is going to be with you, helping you along the way. And I was like, I'm not changing my career. I love being an influencer. Actually, I didn't love being an influencer. I was complaining all the time, but I love all the ego things that came with it. So I was like, I don't know what she's talking about, but I ain't changing my career. I'm just gonna go to Bali, take photos, and get some more engagement, and head back to London. And little did I know, things just like went one after another. I was tested a lot, don't get me wrong, but once I moved over here, I felt this, I started going out a lot and I was just like very anxious. Like, I feel like I brought my depression and anxiety with me to Bali, and it started manifesting in the real life in form of relationships, both with men and women, that weren't making me happy. And I feel like right now where I am in my life, I take my feelings, so my internal, like how things make me feel, as my internal guidance system. So back then when I first moved here, I was just unhappy all the time. I was playing my old self, like complaining about shit all day long, being moody, being miserable, like all whilst like I was like, I'm doing this. So there was like two sides of me within, like, and I feel like the downer side to me, like the moody one, prevailed a lot of the times. But there was a situation that literally like shook my life up, and I kid you not, it was a ghost situation. I moved into a house that was haunted. So I was presented with a situation where I couldn't sleep for 3 months because there was a presence of something in my room, something that was a very negative energy that I didn't know, like I was so scared of. And I obviously didn't like believe that spirits are so real and that you really can experience them. But it was such a like turning point for myself, because I actually had to work so hard within me to stay strong, to stay positive, to overcome this negative energy, and to allow my intuition to guide me to somebody who can help me. And that somebody was a beautiful Balinese man who works as a shaman, and he really sort of protected me and helped me heal. And it turned out to be a manifestation of this Indonesian demon who apparently fell in love with me. But maybe I'll do another video about this, because it was like such a crazy story, guys. Like, I had to break up with this thing in front of 20 Balinese people, and until now it was like, it's probably like one of the weirdest things I've ever lived through. But anyways, that was like sort of like, I feel like looking back at it almost like 1 year afterwards, is basically, it was all the negativity that resided within me manifested in the form of this like negative spiritual or spirit entity that I couldn't see, but I could feel and I could hear. And at times I could feel it sort of like entering my brain and trying to control my mind. And it was like so fucking scary. I can't even, like, you have no idea. I spent 3 months not sleeping. So I would sort of like, because spirits are much stronger sort of past midnight, so like 12 to 5 a.m. is probably the time where they are the strongest, and they can enter into our realm and mess with your head. You know, if you ever had sleep paralysis, that's also something to do with spirits in the house that are not that are not so positive and that want to disturb you. But the thing is, like, about Bali, that's like part of the life here, and Balinese people really know how to protect their properties from negative spirits, and that's why they do little chenangs and offerings every morning. So until I started doing that, it was a bit of a challenging time for me, but nevertheless it really made me grow, and like sort of like thinking about how I overcame this and how I made myself like heal from such freaking trauma. I had PTSD afterwards because this thing would just like put like pressure on my body, and I was just really freaking scared. So basically, Bali has really strong healing energy because it has I've read that it has 2 energy centers running through this middle of the island, sort of like Ubud area, which help bring out to the surface all within you that needs to be healed and released and sort of grounded and sent back, neutralized pretty much. Bali, it's a very strong healing, energetically strong healing place. So most people that are drawn to Bali have something to release, and that something is what is stopping them from living their best life. So when I sort of went through like initial, well, I'm actually still healing and releasing things because one thing came after another. Once I released and healed something, another trauma would pop up, and a lot of things from my childhood that really stopped me from being who I truly am as a higher self and what my purpose is. And sort of like building this sustainable clothing brand out here really like allow me to step back into my power and try contribute positively to this world. And the whole point behind my brand is to make women feel good and to empower them. So I want to do the same thing with all of the content that I put out, including my book. So Bali really played a big, massive role in this initial healing. It was almost like having this like intense therapy session for like every day for a full year. It was like almost like being in a rehab, honestly. And I feel like a lot of the times I spent sort of like not wanting to continue with my healing because I went out a lot. I was masking the feelings with alcohol and like with people that weren't always so good for me, and people that like my soul was against me having relationships with. And I've sort of learned now how to take my my inner guidance seriously. Like I can look at somebody and I'll just tune into myself and be like, how does this person make me feel? What about this person do I like? And then I would sort of like base it on the energy and the frequency I'm receiving from them versus the external appearance and more ego-based opinions. So like if I see like a hot guy with like 100,000 followers, but I feel like, and they're so like beautiful and they're talking to me, but then I feel like something about their energy is not sitting well with me. It could just be like a little like weird like inclination within that's like, oh, I don't know what that is. I don't want to go there. I don't even want to continue with like conversation. And so like it took me so long to get here because in the past I would be like, but maybe I can change this, or maybe they can change, or maybe they'll finally see me for who I am and all that stuff. I don't do that anymore. I really like have learned how well to tune into my inner guidance system, my intuition, and that's what's changing my life. And you know, I wasn't so tuned into myself in London because I was really in this negative dark place, and I learned that also collective energy of London is way more hustle focused. It's way more go versus let's heal what needs to be healed, which is like the case here in Bali. Yeah, I just think that whole journey sort of going from depressed to like myself was like sort of climbing up the emotional scale, which is sort of like going from darker frequency and lower frequency into like more empowering like emotions filled with like a joy and love. And of course I have days where I'm not like always in this high vibrational self. Sometimes I'll just like dip into like boredom or laziness, and that is okay. What like other thing that Bali really taught me is to accept all parts of myself. So when on the days that I have where I feel more angry towards something, I allow those feelings to come up to the surface. And this is another thing in London that I never allowed myself to be. Like, I never really allowed for these darker parts of myself to be part of me, because I would always suppress them. So if I felt anger, I would never be able to express that. Or if I felt sadness, I would never be able to express that in a healthy way, and I would always suppress it. And I feel like suppressing and suppressing and suppressing for years brought me to the brink of freaking depression. And I was depressed, not even the brink, I was actually depressed. I was so depressed, guys. Like, I would literally just like want to stay in bed and watch Netflix and order Italian all day long. I put on like 15 pounds. I was like never working out. I was so lazy. I have never like had any sort of like motivation to do things, and I was shooting content for my Instagram and writing my blog. That's pretty much all that I've done for the last 4 years. And thank God I've like started my spiritual practice that really changed my life. And I just really wanted to sort of like say this to you, and if you, especially if you've gotten this far in the video, is that noticing and recognizing those feelings is the first step. I feel like if you look at your life and you sort of like take a bird's eye view of where are you right now and in your life, the place that you're right now. And I know this has been a very difficult time for so many of us, because we're not allowed to move freely. We're not allowed to be living our life as we normally would. But it's a good time for reflection. It's a good time for sort of taking that minute to yourself that's like not filled with distractions of your everyday life, and just sort of like taking the bird's eye view of like where you are emotionally in your life and where you would like to be. You should ask yourself every morning, what would make me happy today? And then sort of commit to doing even like the smallest things to bring you to that place of happiness. And for me, like the way I really live my life is like progress over perfection. So many of us always aim for this perfection thing, but honestly, perfection is the end. So do you want to be perfect and there's nowhere else to go, there's nowhere else to grow, there's nowhere else to like sort of like expand or evolve to? Perfection is the end. So don't aim for perfection. I'm telling you, start small, and every single day, if you just ask yourself, tune into your own soul and just say, what do I want to do today? And if that's like sort of booking yourself in for a massage, then do it. If it is, I want to write something in my journal, then do it. I want to treat myself to an ice cream, then do it. I want to go and work out, then do it. Do small things and sort of break it down in your brain, sort of I can never pronounce this word. Compartmentalize sort of like things that you want to do, that you know these things will bring you to a higher vibrational place in your day, but won't overwhelm you at the same time. Because what I found, if like I get into this like a highly inspired motivational state where I go like go, and then I find myself overwhelmed. So like sort of like looking back at that, I was like, okay, maybe I need to have a more balanced approach. So instead of having to like, let's say, sit here today and film 5 YouTube videos, I'm gonna film 2, and I'm gonna learn how to express myself clearer, so I don't have to sit there for hours and edit. And I'm gonna sort of like maybe take it a little slower and put less pressure on myself, and just make myself more comfortable about talking things that I really believe should help you, versus me knowing every single thing in the world and then just being like, oh my god, did I say that right? I don't think I said that right, you know? So I feel like aiming for a little progress every single day and for improvement in your day-to-day life, versus feeling aiming for this perfection. Because it's literally, if you think about it, what is perfect in this world? Like literally nothing is perfect. Because even if you see this like most beautiful, rich human being on the planet, you don't know how unhappy they are in their life. You don't know what goes behind a closed door. So like never ever have to like feel the need to compare yourself to anybody. Just compare yourself to your yesterday self and say, did I do all in my power to make myself tomorrow be better than myself today or yesterday? So I think that's how I like to do it. And Bali really did play a massive role in this, because once I sort of started this healing journey, and it was all sort of like came about by me tuning myself into my inner guidance system, my intuition, and following up on that, and then allowing the universe to bring people into my life and bring situations into my life, bring events into my life that sort of like help me like elevate and help me sort of like climb up the emotional scale. I look back now and I'm like, oh my god, I've come so far, and I feel so grateful to even be there. But anyways, I really hope this story has sort of like helped you just gain a like maybe better understanding of your emotional state, and understand that is valid whatever you are on the emotional scale right now. And if you are willing to maybe just decide that you want to feel better, if you're not, but even if you do feel better, you can always feel better, you know. So there's always like progress to be made, and if you decide that that's what you want for yourself, just ask yourself what can take you there, and then follow up on it. Don't let any external source take you away from that. Don't listen to like people telling you it's hard, you can't do it. Don't watch the TV shows and anything that's depressing in nature that will sort of like hinder your progress, because that's the other thing that I realized. I actually don't have a TV here. I don't watch news. I do watch sometimes a little bit on Facebook, but I'm so emotionally disconnected from it. So that really helped me to stay on my path and stay stronger in my journey. But of course, like being in the healing energy that is like really powerful, such as like Mama Bali energy, that made a lot of difference to my progress. And I'm pretty sure that now with this mindset, I can go back to London and continue on this path and even further evolve, because there's so many more opportunities in London and you can create things way faster and better. So I needed this foundation. I see this 2020 as like a massive foundation setting, and like a massive stepping stone for myself, where I went from a very depressed, insecure person to a very like empowered woman who is okay, who is secure with speaking her own truth and putting herself out there, because it takes a lot. But I hope this video helped you a little bit, and if you do have any questions or have anything to contribute, please leave a comment please leave a comment below. I'm wearing a top from my brand. It's called Malala off-shoulder top, and it's like really comfortable, so I'm going to leave a link below to it. It's a super cute summer piece that you should have in your wardrobe too, and it's made from the cotton, 100% cotton, and it's like the softest, most comfortable fabric ever. So I hope to see you guys in my next video, and I believe in the next video I'll be talking about why I started creating content so much in 2020 and why I just don't want to be an influencer no more. So I'll see you then, guys. Have a lovely day. Bye.